we want his life to mean as much to as many people as possible, and to let all of the positive ripples of his life be there. I was all excited to have, this process where we labored at home, and then at the last second when it was push time, we were gonna go to the hospital and have the uneducated birth in the hospital setting with the support of my husband, my doula, and then my daughter was gonna get to come. Had just great test results on everything, always measuring right on track. Baby looked great. I had what my obstetrician called an uneventful and boring pregnancy. And then coronavirus. Once I found out the doula wasn't going to be able to be there, I started to get really anxious. In some cities, people weren't even allowed to have their birth partner in the delivery room with them. And then I started to get really anxious and really afraid.
We're seeing in New York City some aggressive and very precautionary action preventing any support person from being in the delivery room with that mother.
Partners will not be allowed there when babies are born.
I myself am 38 weeks pregnant. We may not be allowed even a visitor. People are making all kinds of very challenging decisions.
Moms were talking about their babies actually being taken from them after they ran a fever. I'm sitting there thinking, what if I spike a fever because that's sometimes a normal part of giving birth, and then I get my baby taken from me. And the irony now looking back is, I don't have my baby now, but the fear of all that compounded so much. When I was planning to attempt to let my body do this in a natural way anyway, why wouldn't I just take that burden off the healthcare system and have it at home? So at 38 weeks, I went to my last obstetric appointment. No indication of what we were walking into.
And his head was crowning. We didn't know it was a he, at the time. And
yeah.
She gets on the phone, the doula gets on the phone with the midwife, like, are you close? Like, I'm about to catch a baby.
The midwife gets there literally just as I am getting the urge to push, and his head was born really quickly. I expected the head to be born and then for the body to kind of slither out. I had read about shoulder dystocia and how it's kind of the one that is like kind of a scary obstetric situation. Obstetric nightmare that we had with no warning. It happens, you have to get the baby all the way out. My brain went into immediately not flight but fight mode, and I immediately knew that it was shoulder dystocia, and I got worried. And from there it was like an Olympic effort. And just as the EMTs were walking in, I lifted my leg in a certain way. He did the counter pressure in a certain way. The doula shoved her shoulder into my pelvis, and the midwife was doing the wood screws maneuver. And just as the EMTs walked in, they screamed like, "Baby's out." And I remember turning around in shock, like looking for him, thinking, okay, just breathe. And I looked and I saw that his, I didn't know it was a boy at the time. It was just his back, and they were, trying to get a heart rate, and I don't think they were having any success finding that. And I flipped him over, and I remember saying, "Babe, it's a boy," which is what we really wanted. I mean, we always said a healthy baby, but we wanted a boy. We were trying for a boy. I was so happy to see it was a boy, but then I saw his umbilical cord, and it was white.
It seemed like an eternity, and I guess it was. And then to have like a pulse and see him go from like this ghost to like pink, and like he came back to fight to see if he could live. And it was a miracle at that point in time, because it was an hour of him having no heart rate or no breathing.
Brain didn't get oxygen during that time, so he was, critically ill. Was first called to the doctor. Severe brain trauma. That the 45 minutes that he didn't have a heart rate was, she said, the longest that she's ever seen a baby come back from personally. And, we got to hold him, we got to kiss him, we got to feel like warmth in his body, which we wouldn't have been able to do. And once they figured out that McCoy wasn't going to come home, they made an exception from the hospital to let us both be by his side because of the pandemic. They're only letting one parent at a time in the NICU. He would let me go in there and, sing to him and tell him all the things he's done while he was in my belly, and kind of get to know him. It made it a little bit harder, but we're really glad that we got to meet him and get to know him. And they made a one-time exception for our daughter to meet him. And she got to meet him. She got to, sing to him and play this little piggy on his fingers. And at the point that she was leaving, had to tell her, this is the last time you're seeing your brother. He's going to go to heaven, so, he can't come home with us. And she cried, and then, she had a hard time that night when we came home to kind of process that with her. She asked, well, can we have another baby, and can it be a girl this time, and can you have her on Thursday? And so she just, little optimist is really helping us kind of get through this. He got to end up giving his heart valves to other kids so that he can kind of live on through them. The milk that was meant for him is going to, an adopted mom who has a baby in the NICU, and, just we're trying to, like most parents, I think when they deal with the loss, they want to make sure that they're, they were here, they mattered. We want his life to mean as much to as many people as possible, and to let all of the positive ripples of his life be there.
It's a real perspective on what's important and what's, artificial.
Because nothing will ever be as painful as what we went through and are going through, everything is also sweeter. Like every time I hear our daughter laugh, it's that much better. And every time I see her run, it's that much, it's that much more of a joy to see, like, because we've hit the lowest of lows, everything that's good is also just much better. It's like, I don't know, putting salt on watermelon, it somehow makes it sweeter. Thank you to all those moms that told me that I'll live through it, and that to take it one day at a time. Each one of you that has reached out and told me of your pain, I'm so sorry that we share it, but I appreciate you standing beside me, because it's crappy, but I don't feel as bad knowing that it gets better someday.